Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Quinn Xcii, and I'm here chatting with Milky. Yeah, the idea behind this album was actually a lack of idea. Actually, it was I wanted to make music, just to be present, and just to get back to that process of just making art for the sake of making it. And I realized sort of halfway into it that I was actually making an album about just being myself and staying authentic to how I was feeling each day, and whatever I felt that day, I was trying to channel that into my music, and that's why I called it the People's Champ. It's just a reminder that I want to give people that who you are naturally in your natural state and your natural authentic self is exactly what you're always striving to be. And I think we're always conditioned to want to become something, but we never look inward and just embrace what we already have. So that really is the idea behind the People's Champ, is just reminding everybody that you're already your own People's Champ. You've already won. So yeah, it was a beautiful reminder, I think, during the album process. I think the album evolved. I mean, the back to what I was saying, I didn't put a lot of thought as far as like conceptual sort of linear elements that tied all the songs together. So I think the more I opened up and just was willing to explore different sides of me, it got more vulnerable, I would say, as the months progressed. It probably took me like 9 months to make the album, but I don't know. I just think, if anything, it was therapeutic for me. I think I just got a lot out of it as a person rather than an artist, and it just reminded me just the importance of staying present and just not running from any anxieties or fears or things that we all go through day to day, and just embrace it all and use it for a positive. So I spun it into my music somehow, and yeah, that's kind of what came out was the album. I think the point was to make an album. So while I didn't have a conceptual idea for what I was doing with the project, I knew I wanted to make an album that was like really consisted of live elements and live instrumentation. So a lot of the album is based around just those core like instruments we grew up listening to in songs, and stuff just like keys, drums, live guitar. And I think nowadays pop music especially can feel a bit overproduced and over sort of shiny and electronic, and that stuff's great. I make music like that all the time, but with this album I wanted to make sure it had a bit of a raw sort of just elemental feel to it. So that was the inspiration as far as like sonically what I wanted the album to sound like. I grew up on like a bunch of Motown music and Dave Matthews Band and Jack Johnson, so I mean it was very fitting for me to try and channel that side of me for this record. Oh, I love that question. I think there's always so many like highs and lows with making an album. It can be very infuriating, and especially when you have writer's block and you just feel like you can't get back into that groove for days or sometimes weeks on end. And for me, I had a bunch of that, but I also had some really high moments. And I would say to answer your question, one of the ones that stands out to me is writing the last song on the album, which is called All That You Need. And I remember just working with my friends Alex and Tom, who were in the other room just playing around on the piano, just simple chords, and I was like, I need to just get away from you guys and just be in my own thoughts and just think of what I'm trying to say on this song. I had no idea what I wanted to say. It was the first time that I realized that the second I got out of my own way, I was able to really just like flesh out everything that my subconscious was trying to translate, but I was overthinking it too much, if that makes sense. And I can just remember looking out the window. We were in Newport, Rhode Island, and just looking out at the water, and kind of similar to here in Australia, like just not as tropical, but there was water next to us similar to where we are now, and just trying to be like, just stay present and just say what comes to mind. And literally, I think I wrote some of my favorite lyrics I've ever came up with just by, again, just not forcing it and just staying in the moment. And so I thought that was, again, just like an amazing thing to take away from this album. That moment comes to mind a lot, and something I try to remind myself of. Oh, there's some. Where do I begin to choose? No, I'm joking. I would say I think that last song I just mentioned, All That You Need, I think it's a really special song, and I think I don't know, it just really encapsulates the album very well. But the other two, I don't know, like, songs are like my children. It's like I can't pick a favorite. It's tough to, I feel like now I'm neglecting others if I say these few are my favorite, but I like The Lows a lot. That's a song that we just was the second to last single off the album. That one seems to be a fan favorite at the moment. And then Common is another one featuring Big Sean, and I think those three do a good job of representing sort of me. If I had to show 3 songs to a stranger off this album that didn't know who I was, those are probably the 3. But again, I feel like a bad father saying that because I do love the other songs also. Yeah. Again, not to go back to the same song, but All That You Need, that song that I was just mentioning, one of the lyrics that the first thing that came to that I sort of spewed out when I was writing it was the first verse of the song, which is fall back overboard and float down to your heart. All that silence there is your soul. Light a firework and stand back till it sparks and watch yourself in the sky explode. And I again just was, I don't know how that came out of me. I was just sort of like trying to say something about how we're all sort of connected, and that was like, oh, that's what I said, and I don't know. So I think those are some of my favorite words that I've ever came up with for songs, and that one sticks in my head pretty powerfully. Yeah. I think, I don't think I've changed a lot. I mean, I think I've progressed as far as just I'm getting better at what I do. Like anyone, if you do something for a while, you naturally become, your muscles become stronger and your creative thinking comes stronger. And it's just like if you're an athlete or if you're a chef or, I don't know. I just think I'm getting better naturally. But I would say, if anything, I'm just learning to be more comfortable in my own skin as a person. And that obviously translates into being an artist and just learning to embrace my flaws and the things that I'm good at and not to put too much pressure on myself. I think that was tough for me when I first started making music, was I wanted to be the best and make the biggest songs and sell the most tickets, and that's a pretty draining way to live life, and I've just learned to embrace everything that I have, and I think I've found a lot more gratitude, I think, as I'm getting older, and 5 albums in definitely does that. So yeah, no, I mean, just, I'm in here in Australia, sort of pinch myself from time to time. I get to do some really cool things, and I get to talk with you guys about the music, so it's just, yeah, I'm learning to just not look ahead too much and just enjoy what I have right now, and yeah, so I would say that's how I've evolved more as a person than a musician, yeah, which goes hand in hand. Well, I got here yesterday, so I mean, where do I begin? There's so many. Yeah, yesterday it rained a lot, so I couldn't do much. We had a really lovely dinner though at Nomad, which is down the street. It was really great. But I was here 4 years ago before the pandemic, and it was just amazing. I mean, we did all the touristy sightseeing, the Opera House, and all the other, we went to Brisbane and Melbourne, and I actually forget what we did there, but I definitely remember Sydney and the Opera House. But I think what I took away from the last time I was here was just everyone's and I was telling Todd, my tour manager, who is Australian, and he reminds me every day, but everyone's just so nice and welcoming, and I think there's a positivity here that I just really find, and it's very infectious. And so at the shows, everyone last time I was here was just great, and I don't want to say easy to impress, but it was it was just like I was performing for a bunch of my friends, and it felt very at home. So I'm hoping that same energy comes this week here. So yeah, which I'm sure it will. And I did a shoey last time I was here, where you drink beer out of a shoe. I don't know if anyone in the States knows what that is, but that was a great memory. So I'm hoping to ruin a lot of my sneakers here. Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. I mean, especially I think, as I was just saying, with the quarantine recently, and I was off the road for nearly 2 years. It reminded me of how much I love to do this, and how much I love to travel and play shows for people, and just to have that human sort of face-to-face connection. It's so refreshing, and we're in a time where we're just accustomed to chatting with people via social media, and I think we rarely get to have some really powerful moments in person. And so touring definitely lends to that, and I get to just meet so many amazing people that have so many amazing stories about how my music's helped them, and it motivates me. It reminds me of like why I do this, and it reminds me of how lucky I am to have a job like this. So yeah, it's always been my favorite thing though. Like tour, I love making the music, but touring is definitely the best part of I would say being an artist for me. So yeah, I'm just so stoked to be back here, and this is kicking off the entire year of tour, so it's really exciting. So I'm just pumped to give a great show, and like I said, I think the Australian crowd will be very receptive and will like it, even if it's bad. They'll still give me they'll make me feel like it's good. Yeah, they're very nice. Michael Jackson is probably my biggest. I love Sam Cooke. I love Jack Johnson. I love Chance the Rapper. I don't Nora Jones. I love. There's so many random people that I think I've come across, and that's like what's great about things like Spotify and Apple Music is like you get to just. I'm even finding out like people I've never heard of today, and getting so much influence from just this outpour of art that seems to be happening over the last few years, and platforms like that are really, really beneficial to use for discovering new music. But yeah, I would say those four, I don't know, five I just gave you are some of it's like my Mount Rushmore of people I love. But it's a really tough question. I could chat here for hours about people I look up to. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, going back to some of those last couple guys I just said, like Jack Johnson, Chance the Rapper, Kid Cudi would be great. I don't know. I mean, I love Mac Miller. Obviously, he passed away, but that was someone I always wanted to collaborate with, and he was like one of my first concerts I went to as like a high schooler. So, I mean, I always looked up to him. But yeah, Jack Johnson and Chance would be cool. I don't know if they're gonna respond to my emails, but I'll keep trying, spamming them. I would say an album that has had the most impact on me is going back to Mac Miller, Swimming. Actually, I have his face tattooed on my arm here. You can't see it, but it says Swimming underneath. And that album was something I listened to during one of my tours I was on, actually. And I was kind of in a bad place and just had that on repeat every day. And it was the first time where an album really just, I felt like I've always been on the other end of the person making the music and helping the listener, and it was the first time I feel like I discovered an album that I felt like I was being helped by it. And I've always listened to music just for the sake of I love music, and honestly never because it's been therapeutic. And that was probably the first one of the few albums ever that really just like I put on just for the sake of making it make me feel better and just to heal. So yeah, Swimming by Mac Miller was definitely easy answer for me for that question. Yeah. I mean, hopefully there's a lot of randomly I think about like don't fart, don't have a random like mouth vomit moment where I say something crazy. I think about that all the time where I'm like I have a microphone and there's like thousands of people in front of me. I could just ruin my whole career if I said something really dumb right now. It's very irrational, and I try not to think about that too much. But aside from the fart and that, and don't say anything stupid, things that come into my head, like I don't think too much. I think that's why I also love performing. Is like it forces you to stay in the present moment. So yeah, but definitely have irrational fears, as you can see. Miley Cyrus. I think it was. Wow, that's a really good question. I think Bad by Michael Jackson was, I'm bad, I'm bad. Just I sang that in the shower a lot. My mom was very aware that I was into singing at an early age, for sure. I saw Coldplay back when I was like a sophomore in high school, and it was a free ticket. And my friend gave me he was like, I have an extra ticket. Do you want to come to see Coldplay? And I didn't even really know who Coldplay was at the time, but I just remember leaving there being like, oh, that was like one of like a life-changing performance. And those guys are amazing. Yeah, Coldplay. I don't know. I've been Passion Pit. I actually saw recently too, which was incredible. I should have more answers for you, but yeah, those two for sure.
So funny, when I was in high school, my friend gave me free tickets to see Coldplay.
Seriously? I was like, I was like, I got nothing else to do, so yeah. But it was incredible, yeah. Spice Girl or Backstreet Boy? Probably Backstreet Boy, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Spice Girls definitely. It's tough to say like who was more popular. I would say I don't know, but probably Backstreet Boy. Just I feel like I'd obviously fit in probably a bit more. I would say most memorable show would be I played Red Rocks last year actually, which was really, really incredible. I got to do it with a few of my friends who are also musicians, and it's just an amazing experience. That I mean, if you guys have ever been, it's like a spiritual experience. Like Red Rocks is just a really special venue, and it was the first show that we all played after quarantine, so it was just special for multiple reasons. Also played Lollapalooza back in 2018, and that's a festival that I grew up going to. And it was just surreal to be finally on the stage rather than the guy in the crowd. So, yeah, those two, I would say, are really, really special to me. I've said his name a lot already, but I would say Michael Jackson's up there. I think the Beatles obviously had a huge impact. It's tough. I always think of people in the past who have made impacts, but even someone like I don't know, like someone like Frank Ocean, I think has had a huge impact and has shown artists that you don't need to be, fully in the limelight and you can still have a pretty amazing, successful career. That's pretty amazing. But it's easy to go back to like the legends. So yeah, Michael Jackson, Beatles, Elvis, yeah, Whitney Houston. I don't know. I would say to my future self, if I could meet him right now, would be just to not overthink things, just to enjoy exactly what life is offering right now, and not to think that it's not enough. And I'm learning to just really just embrace everything that life throws at me, even if it is shitty, just to take it in stride and just to roll with the punches, kind of. So yeah.